Hey guys, welcome back. So this video is actually a first on my channel. As you can tell from the title, I am doing a TBR. If you've been around here for a while, you'll know that I do not do TBRs. I am a 100% mood reader and my mood dictates my reading, sometimes vice versa, but basically any kind of idea of a TBR just totally throws me off, and as soon as I add a book in a TBR, I automatically don't want to read it, and so thus in the past I've always failed. But I'm changing that up now because if there's any time for me to do a TBR, it's now. I absolutely adore the fall season, and it's usually around this time where I like to theme my reads based on the season, based on the weather, and read kind of like darker books, spookier books, books that give me all the fall vibes. So I figured I would try doing a TBR this time. Now, one way that I'm doing it a little bit differently is that I'm not doing a month TBR. I know for a fact I would not be able to read all of these books during the month, not because I couldn't finish them, but because I know that my brain would wander and I'd want to read something else. But instead I'm doing a seasonal TBR, meaning that I've got a while to get through all of these. So I think that setting this TBR for the entire autumn season might help me come up on top and actually finish all of them, rather than confining myself to just, you know, the 4 weeks that are in this month. But I don't know, we'll see. That said, I wanted to share with you guys the books that are on my fall TBR, so that way you can see kind of like what I am interested in reading. I've got a few different genres that I am going through, but as usual, please let me know if you've read any of these, and if so, your thoughts on them. And if you're doing a seasonal TBR, I'd love to know what it is, because I may add to the TBR that I'm about to go through, or at the very least, like switch out one of my books, because you guys know I just, again, cannot stick to a TBR. So I'm hoping this month that will be different. So without further ado, let's jump into the books. First up, we have a cozy mystery called Foul Play at the Fair. This is actually book 1 in the Celebration Bay series. Now, this particular book is about an event planner who was helping her town prepare for their annual harvest festival. Already I'm getting autumnal vibes because in the description we basically are getting all kind of references to like apple cider, spiced donuts, pumpkin pie, like everything that you can see on like a Pinterest autumn bucket list. This book seems like it's got it, and I'm super excited about it. Of course, because it's a cozy mystery, you have your murder. I will be honest, I am less interested in that, more interested in my fall descriptions, which I am so excited for. And this is probably the book that I'm going to start off with first. Just downloaded it on my Kindle actually, but I'm already excited about it because, again, I think this will be a perfect intro to a fall type TBR. Next up, we have A Matter of Life and Death, which is book 2 in the Bake Shop series. I absolutely adored book 1. I love the world building in this one, and this book actually takes place during fall. So we're back in Ashland, Oregon, and it's fall time, and I know I'm gonna get all my cozy vibes because Ellie Alexander does descriptions so well for cozy mysteries. As far as the plot goes, we have our girl Jules, who is the heroine of the story. She is competing in a baking or cooking competition so that she can hopefully win money for their shop. Now, again, I added this one to my list a while back, if I'm being honest, because as soon as I read book 1, I knew I had to jump into book 2, but because book 2 takes place during fall, I wanted to hold out just a couple of months until I was actually in fall. And now that we're here, I'm super excited to dive into this one because, again, Ashland, Oregon is such a small, quaint town, and the descriptions that the author does describing the town during the different seasons, I know is going to put me into that fall autumnal vibe, and I can't wait to revisit Ashland, especially because I know that it's going to be cooler than it is here in the South, and so I will get my cool breezes and, you know, kind of chilly mornings that I may not actually get in real life, if you know what I'm saying. Next, we're switching gears, or at least switching genres. This one is a horror mystery, and I will be honest, I don't read horror, or at least I haven't in a long time, but I heard Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte review this book, and I knew I had to add it to my TBR because it sounded so interesting, and it's called Into the Drowning going deep, and basically what we have is a crew of scientists who are trying to investigate this like mythological sea creature, or the lore around said sea creature. Now, there was a crew before them that tried to do the same thing. They were doing some kind of mockumentary, and they ended up disappearing. So we've got the second crew tasked with coming in, not only finishing the documentary, or at least figuring out what happened, but seeing whether or not that sea creature exists. And the one telling the story, or at least the character who we're following, is a woman whose sister was part on that first expedition who disappeared. And so naturally she's trying to figure out what happened to her sister, while the crew obviously is trying to find said sea creature. Super excited about this one. Olivia said that there was a lot of like science heavy references, but that doesn't necessarily bother me. In fact, that excites me a lot. So I'm hoping the book is as good as at least she has recommended it to be. And even though it's not like necessarily fall, I think that those kind of horror vibes lends itself still to the darker months. Again, I might read this more around like Halloween time, just because of the spookier elements, but still it warranted this being on the list, because I am so excited for all of the reads, whether they are fall related, horror related, or everything in between. Okay, so this next one also falls into the horror category, even though it's a horror YA, and basically what we have are two teens who are on a date, and they stumble across this house at the bottom of the lake, and as most teens in horrors go, they are compelled to explore it. And that's when things get weird. That's when things get creepy. Again, this one is more horror, so I'm more likely going to read it around like Halloween time, when things are a little bit darker. It starts to get dark out at like 6:30. But regardless, I'm really excited, which is very weird for me to say, because again, I don't typically read horror, but there you go. So this next pick is a thriller that I actually got from a Crime by the Book recommendation. Side note, if you love mystery thriller, you definitely need to check out her Instagram and her blog, because I get so many great thriller recommendations from her, including this one. So in The Nothing Man, we have a woman who basically writes a true crime memoir about her family being slayed and her surviving the serial killer who attacked them. Now, jump, however many years later, and the serial killer is actually reading her true crime memoir, and this stirs up all kinds of emotions from him, and he feels compelled to go back after her. So we've kind of got this cat and mouse game going on. I am a huge murderino, and I love true crime, so to have this in kind of like a fictionalized book definitely is intriguing to me. You guys know I love me some like bookish books, or like book within a books, kind of like Riley Sager's Home Before Dark, so I knew I had to add this one to my list as well. Now, because this is mystery and thriller, I probably won't really wait until Halloween time like with the previous two horrors, but regardless, I'm getting my dark atmospheric read with this one, and I absolutely cannot wait. Last up, we have a paranormal romance. Now, I know it's not a mystery or thriller or anything dark like that. However, I still think it kind of fits within those like fall autumnal vibes because of the paranormal aspect, and because our main hero is actually a vampire. Now, this is the first book in the Night Prince series, which is actually a spin-off of the Night Huntress series by Jeaniene Frost, which I absolutely adore that series. But in this one, we are following Vlad, who is a vampire who we see from the previous series, and basically he gets his own story. The heroine in this one, I think she is a burn victim, if I'm not mistaken, but she was in some kind of tragic accident, and that has left her not only disfigured, but having some kind of like psychic powers where she can read minds. And I am just so excited about this one, because Francesca over at Under the Covers book blog raves about this. She actually said that she loves Vlad more than Bones, who is the hero in the Night Hunter series, which I adore Bones, and I cannot imagine anyone holding a candle to him. So if she thinks it's good, I knew I had to check this one out. And again, I think that even though it's not necessarily mystery or thriller, it still fits with within the fall vibes because you've got a vampire, you've got the paranormal aspect, and just because it's a romance doesn't mean that it doesn't fit into those spooky kind of themes, you know what I'm saying? Okay guys, so that'll about do it. I've got a handful that may not seem like a lot to you, but again, for somebody who does not keep TBRs, that's quite a few books for me, and if I can read at least half of them, I will definitely call this a win. I admit I'm going in with very low expectations because I know myself, and as soon as I talk about TBRs or wanting to read something within the construct of a TBR, I automatically don't want to read it. So I'm giving myself longer than a month. I'm hoping that the entire season will give me the chance to go through all of these. I know that I can read them. It's not a matter of finishing them all. It's just a matter of willing myself to continue being excited about them. You book people can totally understand what I'm talking about, because we all know that nothing distracts you from your current read than like the idea of a shiny new read, and there's so many good ones coming out. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. As I mentioned earlier, if you have read any of these, please let me know your thoughts about them. And if you have your own TBR, I'd love to know what's on it, especially if it's themed after fall or autumn or Halloween or anything like that in the next upcoming month. So in the meantime, happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Oh, and wish me luck. Bye!